Okay, good morning. So in this morning's session, I'm going to cover off the sort of steps to get to the top of the table. So I've qualified this month for the top of the table, which is the earliest that I've ever done it, and I'm going to share the things that we do in order to do so. So I'm Simon Lister from the UK, just in case you're in the wrong session, so hopefully you're all here because you want to be. So we're going to go through certain steps that I take in order to make sure year on year I hit top of the table. So I hit top of the table at age 27. I'm now 35. I know you won't believe I'm that old, but I actually am. And I do the same things every year. It's all about process in a nutshell. So step one. So I will be using the board at some point as well to draw one or two things up. And we'll have a little section for question and answers at the end. So step one. The most important element for me with regards to the top of the table is discipline. You have to have discipline. I remember being at an MDRT meeting, which was my first, in Toronto in 2008, and saw Sandro Forte talk. And when Sandro spoke, one of the things that he covered off was the difference between top of the table and those that weren't in top of the table, which was me at the time, was the fact that the discipline. We follow through on more tasks. We stick to certain principles when we are at top of the table to make sure that we do. So to give you an idea of that, my simplest one is that every single week that I'm at work, I have an appointment target. So there will be a certain amount of meetings that I will undertake with clients on a week-by-week basis, but until I've got them all booked in for the week, I literally won't go home. So however late I have to be at the office till on a Friday in order to get all my appointments in for the following week, I will make sure I do so that I will remain successful. And I won't use excuses. I have it as hugely motivational. It means that I tend to get all my meetings booked in before the Friday in order to make sure that I don't have to go home work late and have to explain to my wife and children why I'm not there. And when you call people at 7, 8 o'clock on a Friday night, they're not that interested in talking to you. So get it done early. But every single week, it's always a discipline for me. So whilst I appreciate that it's easy to say, oh, I can do it tomorrow, or I can do it next week, but something else always gets in the way. So set yourself an appointment target and make sure that you hit that on a week-by-week basis. That discipline is crucial. Now, I use certain easy tasks. So I will literally write down the amount of appointments that I want to do per week. So let's just say it's 10, and I'll literally write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and every time I've booked one more appointment, I cross it off, so I know what number I need to still book in. So I find that hugely motivational because I see the number diminishing, and then when I get down to 0, what I also therefore do is have booked out in my diary my appointment slots. It's my diary, it's not my client's diary, so I'm the one who decides as and when I see clients. So that's step 2. You control your diary, not the clients. This was one of the biggest revelations for me with regards to becoming an advisor and doing top of the table earlier. Now, I do attend Strategic Coach, and one of their principles is exactly this, is to run your diary system in such a way that you know exactly what's happening. So, I have 3 types of day within my working week. I have a free day, I have a focus day, and I have a buffer day. So free days go in first. So free days is when I won't do anything with regards to work whatsoever. I won't read any articles about work. I won't have my cell phone on. I won't have my emails on, to the point where I now have 2 cell phones, so I can switch one off so I can't get contacted unless it's complete emergencies. And I book those in first. Now, the idea of those is just like your car. If you wear it out, the thing's going to break down. You are no different as a person. So you want to mentally rejuvenate yourself. You want to physically rejuvenate yourself. And therefore, by having your free days in, which are the things you always book first, and your family will really appreciate this. They know. I remember before I'd done Coach, and this is true, I was in Italy on holiday with my wife and my 2 children, and I was terrible. I just worked 24/7, and my wife had an issue with it when I was on holiday or vacation. So I was on vacation in Italy, and I really wanted to make a phone call. So I went and hid in some bushes so I could make this phone call to my clients. Then my wife walks around the corner. So I wasn't cheating on her, but it looked like I was. The fact I'm making this phone call in the bushes in Italy. And that point onwards, I knew I had to change, which is what I did. So that's 3 days. Focus days. Focus days, in my world, are my most enjoyable days of the week by some distance, because focus days are the days I get to see my clients. And on a focus day, that's all I will do. I will see clients or do activities that will generate income for our business. Now, with regards to that, that sounds a lot harder than it sounds. It really is. And wherefore, in implementing it, it's about having discipline, and it's having somebody to sweep up on all the other stuff that when you're not there, somebody needs to take it on. So you know that you can entrust, that you can just worry about seeing your clients. It puts you in a very different place when you're doing that. You don't get bogged down by any distractions. You don't have any problematic client calls which could spoil your mood for the next meeting. All you're focused on is delivering the advice that you're giving to the clients, and therefore earning the fees in our world, or commissions, that you're going to earn. And that was a real breakthrough for me. That means I can do my whole week's worth of appointments in 2 days if I want to, which means if you sort your system out correctly, you can then suddenly extend that to 3 days or 4 days. And if you do more appointments, you tend to get more business. So focus days are vital. Get all your appointments in one day. You control your diary. I've never had a client that won't be able to fit into a focus day. Also, because you therefore seem busier, if they say, I want to see you Wednesday, I can't do Wednesday, Mr. Client. I'm really, really sorry. I can do this date or this date. They will accommodate you. They really will. I used to work evenings. I used to work till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night before I'd done top of the table. And ironically, I get home earlier than I ever have done now. And that's by implementing the focus day system. The final days are the ones that I like the least. And I'm like a spoilt child. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and I'm like her when we tell her that she has to brush her teeth or eat her vegetables. I try and get out of it at all measures, which is what's called a buffer day. So a buffer day is when I have to do all the admin, all the kind of tasks that I have to kind of tidy up that I don't do on a focus day, so I try and have as little of them as possible. If you speak to my team, they know exactly that I'm like a petulant child, and therefore they have to make me do stuff. So though I may be the owner of my business, and I've got a business partner, and we employ 15 people in the UK, they literally become my boss in that day. Because if they don't set me the tasks, I'm not going to do them. And I will do anything I can to get out of it. So run a 3-day system. And forget about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Pick the days that you want. It doesn't matter that the weekend, if they want to be your free days, then great. But if you want a Friday to be your free day, make a Friday your free day. Make it suit you and make it suit your practice and what you want. Step 3, know your number. Tony Gordon mentored me. I was very fortunate at quite a young age. And the first thing that he instilled in me is know your number. You've got to know your number. So the things that I know, and I'll write these up for you so that you kind of know what we do, is number 1, how many focus days you have or how many sales days. So how many clients you see on that day. So number 1 is you need to know every single week of the year how many focus days that you have. And by doing that, the longer you do this, the more and more in the future you will benefit from it. I promise you. This is amazing for me. So number 1 is how many focus or sales days I have. Number 2 is how many appointments that I will have on those days with existing clients. And it's quite important that it's an existing client. Now, the definition for me of an existing client is a client that has transacted business with me. So it doesn't mean that's the first time I'm seeing them or the second time I'm seeing them or the third time I'm seeing them. If they've done business with me, then they count as an existing client. Next, appointments with new clients. And therefore, new clients is the exact opposite. If they have never transacted business with me, even if I've seen them 10 times, then they are counted as a new client, in a nutshell. What I also therefore count is how many of those meetings actually go ahead. So if I've got 5 there, 4 there, and then 1 drops off, I write 8. So that's so I can learn in the future my fall-off rate. So I had a session yesterday, which I think would have been main platform, and they were saying, oh, your fall-off rate could have been 50%. So my fall-off rate is really small, but it will help you in the future to know if you want to improve further as to where you can improve. Next, how many cases that I actually do. So, and a case for me is if I sign up a client. So it doesn't matter if I make 3 sales, 5 sales, 10 sales. If it's 1 client, that's 1 sale, effectively. So how many cases that I actually write? And let's just say for that week it was 8. And then finally, how much income we earn from those sales. So in England, you're only allowed fees. Commission is completely banned, which is one of the best things that happened to the industry for the record. But in saying that, you still need to write out your number. So know your number on how much premium, how much income that you receive, however much that may be. Now, the key with regards to this is what you then do with the data. So the reason that we record all this data is so that we have a great understanding of certain aspects. So number one is we know what our average case size is. So I can tell you that my average client derives to me $7,684. So it's not a cent more, it's not a cent less. I know exactly what it's going to be. Now the benefit of that is, at the beginning of the year, because I've been keeping this data for about 7 years now, I know how accurate that is. I know how many appointments that I need to do. So by knowing your average case size accurately, as preferred to $1,000, $2,000, or I think what it is, and just a guess, you actually know exactly how many appointments you need to do the level of business that you want to do. One comes hand in hand with the other. By keeping the other data, you'll be surprised how few sales days you actually have in the month. So again, I know how many days I have in order to get these clients in. So that dictates how many clients I need to see on those days. The fall-off rate, so the reason I count appointments with new and existing clients is because I try and have a blend. So I try and see 1/3 of new clients a week and 2/3 existing, because we get a lot of business of our existing clients. So we continue to get paid, we continue to get income from looking after them. They are our best source of business by some distance. So see your existing clients. As soon as you know your fall-off rate, if your numbers are a little bit out, you can see how you can improve. It enables me to therefore start to have minimum numbers. So I know that I'll need to derive a certain amount of income per appointment in order to hit my numbers. So if there are cases that are too small, I will literally walk away. It's not worth it. I only have a certain amount of hours in a day, just like everybody, and therefore I need to know my number. I need to know how much I need to earn per appointment in order to move. If you want to move forward, and I've got a target that by 2020, I want to effectively do $2 million in a year. So that's kind of where I am. And I'm well on the way to hitting that. And if things get a plan by 2018, I will be there. But I'll only be able to do this by holding these numbers and know exactly where I am. Therefore, I've just kind of mentioned I've got a target. Goal setting. Goal setting for me is vital. You need to set goals. You need to share them so you're accountable. I'm pretty disciplined, as I touched on earlier. However, I still need that accountability. So I share them with my business partner. I share them with my wife. I share them with my mentor, Tony Gordon, and therefore we're all clear, and they make sure that I hit my targets. And it doesn't matter however small or however large they are, it's about being accountable to the targets that you set. Therefore, by doing that, there have been studies done. So Harvard done a study, and the people that set a goal done 10 times more than the other 97% of the class that didn't. So set yourself a goal, break it down, work it out. My father has an expression which is, how do you eat an elephant? No puns intended. And it's one bite at a time. And that's the way to look at things. You set yourself a goal and scare yourself with a goal. It's amazing what you can do when you unlock your mind as to the level of targets you can hit.